Willow Whiskers and the Lantern Lodge. Deep within the whimsical forest where sunlight dances on leaves and every branch hums with magic, lived a tiny creature named Willow Whiskers. Willow was no taller than an acorn, with soft brown fur and wide, curious amber eyes. Every morning, Willow awoke to the gentle sounds of birds chirping, squirrels chattering, and the whisper of a nearby brook. Willow's home was a cozy little spot beneath a red-capped mushroom, decorated with treasures gathered on adventures, polished pebbles, shiny acorns, and the softest moss. One morning, as the first rays of sunlight peeked through the trees, Willow stretched, rubbed their eyes, and stepped outside. But something was strange. The usual glow of the fireflies was missing, and without their lights, the forest felt dim and quiet. Willow looked around, a bit puzzled. Willow, curious, where could the fireflies be? They're always home by morning. Willow's tiny whiskers twitched as they decided to set off and find their glowing friends. With a determined hop, Willow grabbed a little leaf backpack, slung it over one shoulder, and set off down the forest path. The path through the forest was lush and green, lined with tall trees and patches of colorful mushrooms. Every so often, Willow paused to greet a friend. A squirrel scurried over, chittering happily, and playfully tugged on Willow's cloak. Willow giggled and waved goodbye before moving along. As Willow rounded a corner, they spotted an old friend, Benny Beetle, sunning himself on a rock. Benny was a wise old beetle with a shiny black shell that sparkled in the sunlight. Willow: "Good morning, Benny. Have you seen the fireflies? They didn't come back home last night." Benny scratched his head, thinking. Benny Beetle, thoughtful. I saw them heading toward the hidden hollow last night. There was a storm brewing, so they might have sought shelter." Willow's eyes widened with concern. Willow, determined. "Then I'll go to the hidden hollow and find them. The forest isn't the same without their glow." Benny Beetle: "Be careful, Willow. The hollow can be tricky." Willow thanked Benny and continued along the path, weaving between moss-covered roots and hopping over fallen leaves. The forest grew denser, the trees thicker and taller, casting a dim, mysterious light. Willow felt a bit nervous but kept going, determined to bring back the fireflies. Finally, Willow reached the hidden hollow. It was a quiet clearing surrounded by towering trees that formed a canopy above, blocking out most of the sunlight. The ground was thick with soft moss, and clusters of mushrooms glowed faintly in the shadows. There, hovering together in a small cluster, were the fireflies. They were huddled close, their lights dim and their wings drooping. Willow approached the biggest, brightest firefly, the firefly leader. Willow, relieved: "Oh, thank goodness, you're all here." Firefly leader, sadly: "We got caught in the storm and some of us were blown far away. It was too dark and rainy to find our way back home, so we stayed here." The other fireflies buzzed softly, nodding in agreement. Willow thought for a moment, tapping a tiny paw to their chin. Willow, brightly: "I have an idea. What if we build a special shelter right here in the hidden hollow, a place where you can stay safe whenever storms come your way?" The fireflies' eyes lit up and they began to buzz excitedly. Firefly leader, hopeful: "That's a wonderful idea, Willow." Willow immediately got to work, and it wasn't long before help arrived. A friendly toad named Tilly hopped over, carrying large leaves balanced on her head. Benny Beetle waddled in with tiny stones, and a family of squirrels scampered over with sticks and moss. Together, they began to build a cozy shelter. Willow arranged the sticks into a sturdy frame. Tilly carefully placed large leaves on top to create a roof, and Benny Beetle lined the floor with smooth pebbles to keep it sturdy. The squirrels added soft moss to make it warm and comfortable. As they worked, the fireflies flew around, their gentle lights illuminating the hollow and adding a magical glow to the scene. When the Lantern Lodge was finally complete, the fireflies cheered, their lights glowing brighter than ever. Willow stood back admiring their work. Willow, proudly, "We'll call it the Lantern Lodge. Now you'll always have a place to rest, no matter the weather." The firefly leaders smiled, their light casting a warm glow on Willow. Firefly leader, gratefully, "Thank you, Willow. From now on, we'll make sure the forest is always lit up, thanks to your kindness." That night, the fireflies flew back to the forest, lighting the way home for Willow. As they returned to their familiar paths, every creature cheered, grateful for the light that guided them. The squirrels clapped, the birds chirped, and even Benny Beetle gave a gentle smile as he settled back onto his favorite rock. And from that day on, whenever storms rolled in, the fireflies would gather at the Lantern Lodge in the Hidden Hollow, knowing they had a safe place to stay. And so, Willow Whiskers became known as the little hero who brought the light back to the whimsical forest, proving that even the smallest creatures can make a big difference.